What's up, Copy Squad? It's your boy Kyle Milligan of KyleTheWriter.com, and today we're going to talk about some quotes that will change your life. One of the first books I read out of college was this one, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay, let me tell you a little story about this. This changed my life and made me want to get into real estate, but I could never afford it. If you haven't heard, I grew up pretty poor, and before I got into copywriting, I actually became homeless because I kind of did the whole burn the boats thing and quit my job. And it took me like 2 years to figure out my way to actually start getting the hang of things, which is not something I recommend. It's pretty miserable. Like, I would say start with a foundation. But now I write for this dude. I wrote a sales letter for this guy, right? And this is a dude who like inspired me, like changed my life. So that's one of the quotes I want to name. I got some quotes that'll change your life. One of the things that stuck with me about this book, besides the new concept of assets and liabilities, was don't think I can't afford it. Think, how can I afford it? And that's one of those questions that could take literally years to figure out. And that's another thing is like this whole copywriting thing, like it's a language, and I recommend that you practice it daily. And eventually things will start to pay out. I was talking to a realtor at an open house today. I stopped by and I just wanted a second opinion about the area I was buying in. So I just went to a random open house and I asked, this is research, baby. Don't I always say do research? And I went and asked a random realtor, not my realtor, and I said, hey, what do you think about this area? And she was like, it's the best thing that no one's talking about. And I was like, that's exactly what my realtor said. Thanks so much. I'm out. I didn't say all that to her. I kind of, played like I was interested in the spot we were looking at. But I said, I have a friend in real estate, and he says, like once you get to that, based on what I'm seeing, it's like an initial struggle. You just struggle for like a year. You don't really know what you're doing. You're figuring out the ropes, and you should probably have a good foundation before you start doing all that. And she's like, yeah. She's like, one day you just look up and you say, I need a day off. And you're like, wait, when did I get so busy? And I was like, I have the exact same sensation right now. Like, I just signed papers for a place. Now I'm going back to my apartment to talk to an audience of like 400 to 500 people about copywriting. And I've just been so busy, take action, that I was like, when did this happen? And I kind of like start just now. I just kind of looked up and said, when did all this happen? So I'll tell you a couple quotes that have led me to this point. And I think this is really important because it's a journey, dude. Like, it's taken me several years to reach this point. And all I just knew for the longest time, I had this foggy idea that I didn't enjoy having a boss and I wanted to make passive income. Also, do the work. Stephen Pressfield, I highly recommend his book, The War of Art, and this book. This one line is probably one of the most impactful one lines of my life. Stay stupid. One of the reasons I was able to work with James Altucher and Robert Kiyosaki, both who were heroes of mine, right, is by being so stupid that I didn't know any better. I just emailed Joe Schrafer, and I was like, give me a job. And then I didn't know who he is or who I was talking to. And I was like, give me a job. I've got XYZ going for me. I can help you out. He didn't answer, so I just replied with a bump. B-U-M-P, smiley face. And he gave me a shot. He said, I'm going to loop in copy chief, send him some copy, and I didn't know how to write copy, so I just basically copied the format of Cash or Patriots sales letter, sent it in, and I got the job. And again, I had no idea what I was walking into. I was like, I just want to make money online and write for a living. That's all I knew I wanted to do. So stay stupid. It's like probably the most important lesson of my life is stay stupid. And in this line, stupidity and stubbornness I've got highlighted. I think those are the two best things. So stupidity and stubbornness. Ignorance and arrogance are the artist and entrepreneur's indispensable allies. How do we achieve this state of mind? By staying stupid, by not allowing ourselves to think. A child has no trouble believing the unbelievable, nor does the genius or the madman. It's only you and I, with our big brains and tiny hearts, who doubt and overthink and hesitate. Don't think, act. Don't think, act. And I say that all the time in these videos, dude. Don't think, act. I don't necessarily say don't think, but I definitely say take action. Imperfect action. Action, 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 action. Okay, so we just talked about stupidity and stubbornness. Here's another quote from a book. This is The Dip. So the book The Dip is about this curve where, here it is. This is the curve called The Dip. Where are we going? All right, basically, when you first start out, things are great. You're excited, and things are going well, and you're learning a lot very quickly, and then eventually you plateau, and then all of a sudden you're not learning anything. You start doing things, and things just start to go poorly. And you probably experienced this even if you're following my advice and doing the things that I'm talking about for copywriting to try to get ahead and get moving, you've probably experienced the dip. You started learning, you got really excited, things are going great, and then you started doing. And guess what? Whenever you do, you can fail. You can fail. Like, bad things can happen, or you can get constructive feedback that hurts your feelings, that kind of stuff, and it starts to dip down. Like, it's not exciting anymore. Now it's becoming hard work. Now it's like it was all roses and sunshine before. So let me tell you about this little line here, this section. Academia doesn't want too many unmotivated people to attempt medical school, so they set up a screen. Organic chemistry is the killer class, the screen that separates the doctors from the psychologists. If you can't handle organic chemistry, well, then you can't go to med school. All right, so that's the screen. Scroll on down to the bottom of this page. The same thing happens to people who dream of the untold riches and power that accrue to the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Private jets, fancy country clubs, unchecked decision-making power. Who wouldn't want to live like modern-day royalty? Of course, now here's the part. Of course, if you look at the resume of a typical CEO, you'll see that he endured a 25-year dip before landing the job. For a quarter of a century, he needed to suck it up, keep his head down, and do what he was told. He needed to hit his numbers, work longer hours than everyone else, and kiss up to his boss of the moment, day in and day out, year after year. So that's the dip, man. That's the grinding, putting your head down. That's doing what you're told. And I recommend it, especially if you've got no expertise. Like, you've got to learn somewhere, somehow. You got to build that resume. Again, why am I sharing this stuff with you today? Because I had one of those moments where I kind of stopped for a moment. I looked around and I was like, what has happened? What has happened? I've got these promos running. I'm teaching people how to write copy. I'm selling a book about writing copy and research courses, video courses at kylethewriter.com/book. And that's made several $1,000s, which is cool. It's like, when did this happen to me? When did this happen to me from Podunk Country, North Carolina, who was homeless and tried blogging and all sorts of other stuff that never got me anywhere? When all of a sudden did things turn around and I'm buying a place in South Florida? And that was like one of those moments where I was like, I just kind of want to talk about that, man. I think a lot of it has to do with basically this sentiment. Do the work. I had to eat dirt for, I'd say, at least 2 years when I didn't have a place of my own. And then also you're going to encounter the dip, more likely than not. This is probably going to be a problem for most people, and this is what eliminates. I talk about the competitive moat that we have as copywriters. Talked about that yesterday when I was talking about artificial intelligence. I'm going to link that. Artificial intelligence replacing copywriters. Talk about that competitive moat. Really, it's just that dip. People are just really, really quick to get discouraged and quit. I recommend that you don't. I will sit here as evidence, clear as day. All right, so whenever you hit that dip, maybe it's time to reanalyze how you're trying to do the writing itself. Okay, time to recap, folks. Quotes to live by. This one, we'll go in reverse order. The dip, basically, not a really good quote. I like sections of copy here. The dip is basically going to happen to you. You look at CEOs, I'll say this is how I'd summarize that quote. You want to be a big, powerful CEO? He's probably got a 25-year resume of eating dirt, okay? Remember that. Do the work, all right? And do the work. So that's one big one, right? Do the work. Next thing, dude, stupidity and stubbornness. Stupidity and stubbornness. Stay stupid, all right? Don't think, act. Don't think, act. Just take action, dude. And doing that will lead you through the dip. Once you don't think and act, you're going to encounter the dip because things are going to go wrong. But that's cool. Things going wrong is a signal that you are doing something. And if nothing goes wrong, then you are doing nothing. Okay? This one, I don't know. I took a bunch of life lessons out of this. I don't really have quotes. This is like the first book that made me think I should read more. That's weird. I hated reading up until this book. And the one quote was like, don't say I can't afford it, but ask how can I afford it. Big thick book now. It was a book used to be like this thick when I bought it back in the day. Now with the updated edition, it's twice as thick. But don't say I can't afford it. Ask how I can afford it. And I'll tell you, the answer to that isn't usually going to come to you in 1 week. Like, the answer might be available and crystal clear, but the road, and I'm speaking from experience, the road could be a 2-year thing for you. It could be a 1-year road, but if you just go down that road, you commit, you don't think, and you start taking action to go that way, things are gonna open up to you, man. That's all I've got for this one, Copy Squad. I do hope that this one was this is a little more on the motivational side, a little less about the copywriting side, but I do hope this inspired you in some capacity. This is what's going on in my life today and what's top of mind for me. So I hope that I was able to give you something from there. Thanks so much for tuning in. Peace out, Copy Squad.